Bill, you had a question for us, did you not?
I did. Have we got time?
Yeah, we can go. We'll go 10 minutes. Go for it.
Okay. I can't remember what I said now.
It might take a lot longer than 10 minutes.
Worthwhile then.
Oh, it was to do with. I can get it up because I found it quite an interesting talking point.
Thank you,
was. Is the hype and advertising of a game more exciting and fun than actually playing the game? I have several talking points for this. Can I start, please?
Go for
Crack
it.
on,
Because I would like to talk. I believe in some cases it is due to, if we look at Cyberpunk, for example, announced 7-8 years ago, massive hype train for years. Then games released, absolute flop. You look at what other games? I'm trying to think, but in terms of like the hype thing, I think like I get quite hyped about like Destiny and stuff. And you look at if you look at the hype of Last of Us 2, everybody was hyped about that because the first game was really good. Everybody loved it. Who loved the first one, and then it got released and leaks happened, and so many people were so disappointed over it. I luckily dodged everything to do with that game leak-wise, and I really enjoyed it, but I was quite biased because I enjoyed the first game. In terms of games that didn't have a hype thing, but have gone really successful, is Apex Legends, for example, a game I like to play quite a lot, and I play quite frequently with my housemate. That just got released out of nowhere. Like, nobody knew about it, nobody knew Respawn was doing this, it just got released in the time that Fortnite was big, like big. It was like, I think, season 5 or 6 of the first game. Yes, Ryan's right, and then they lie in the trailer for Last of Us 2, which is what Naughty Dog did as well. But if you look at Apex, what happened with that? Respawn just shoved it out for free, and everybody went mental. I loved the game. It was brilliant. I still play it frequently. I enjoy it much more than Fortnite, and I played the hell out of Fortnite when it first came out. I think Apex is a much better battle royale. It's a much better game.
It's filled that gap of, people who like the Fortnite gameplay style and genre, but for a more mature audience. Would I be right with Apex?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not that hot on.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah.
Those sorts of titles, but I can understand why it has succeeded.
Yeah. It's been and their Respawn have been really good with listening. Like this newest season that they've called Legacy, released like the daughter of Viper from like Titanfall 2's in it. She's a legend. They've brought back a map which is it's not the greatest map. They've introduced a new 3v3 mode called Arenas, which is there to stay. It's not a temporary thing, and it's really fun. It's sort of like a CS:GO style type game mode. So you have like these battle points that you can earn, or you get some at the start to buy weapons and like upgrades and like health and stuff. And then like each match you progress, you get more battle points, which are introduced in earlier seasons in Apex for like upgrade modules and stuff. And then like it's just they've done really well. And I think the fact that it had no hype, I think, is why it did so well, because it just got announced and just got through out there. And if we look at what you like, how you've reacted, John, with Sonic, you are your own hype man.
I was.
Essentially,
I was so angry. I'm so angry with myself that I bought into the hype of a Sonic celebration.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly.
I'm very annoyed.
There are people, I'm included, that hype themselves up for stuff. I remember watching the PlayStation 5 stuff and like looking at all the games, like the Spider-Man. I'm glad I hyped myself up because it was a great game. I platinumed it, like the new one.
That's the danger, though, isn't it?
Sometimes
the hype, is for nothing.
So are you saying that
the Elder Scrolls 6?
Are you saying that playing the game is more enjoyable than if you are pleasantly surprised, rather than having a game everyone tell you this game is amazing and then finding out it's not met your expectations? Is that what you're saying?
I think it also depends on the person, because for me, I always get hyped up about Destiny all the time because I'm addicted, and I'm always happy with my hype, whereas I know there are other people that love like, or play certain games, get really hyped up about it, and they're like disappointed, like probably 90% of the player base of Cyberpunk. But I think it really can be personal preference, or it's just like if you have a group of mates that hype up this game to you and you play it, and then you're really disappointed. Because I found that with Horizon, like a couple of my mates were like, "Oh, it's really good, you know, it's a really good game," and then I played it. I was like, "Okay, looks nice, but it's not hooking me." Like, I think I was quite lucky with Last of Us. Ryan's right, I really do with Destiny. I remember when they announced the newest DLC back like last year, I screamed and I'm going to jump
in there, Jack. I'm going to jump in and sort of explain.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, I'm going to explain a bit about this, because what I found is also, even if the game is hyped and pleasantly received, I have many people who say, "Yeah, it's a great game, love it," but didn't finish it. They could be gone. They could have booked holidays for it. They could have bought it day one. They could have got the big collector's edition. They've got the statue. They've got the T-shirt. They got everything else. And it's almost like the anticipation of it coming is the part they enjoy. But when they finally sit down to play the game, it's not really the game that they've almost spent all their enjoyment up until that point, and they don't actually finish it. And now they're suddenly on to the next thing. It's kind of like, yeah, the game is all right. It's great. But this another game is coming out, and that looks amazing. And it's like they start it all over again.
Yeah, it's just the marketing machine of the publishers, isn't it? You know we saw the same thing. Like
gaming works.
You know, Bill, you and I in games retail and stuff. It was all about building hype with pre-orders, and it's like, oh, it's going to be the best game you've ever seen, and therefore you should buy this £90 version of it. And then the day after it comes out, it's like, yeah, that didn't sell very well. That's on sale now. What's the next one we've got to push? So I have a question for each of you then, Ash, Jack, Bill. Have you bought a game based on hype where you're not really that worried about the game itself, but you've bought it because of the hype?
Yes, Grand Theft Auto.
No, I only buy games that I actually think I'm going to enjoy.
See,
because they're expensive.
Ash is smart. GTA. Which GTA are you referring to, Bill?
Vice City 4 and 5.
See, I loved 5. I think 5's incredible, but 4 was a letdown for me. I bought 4 on hype.
All three, apart from Vice City, had me for a little bit until I started getting to, I think it was some of those flying bits that are in Vice City where you have to control a car.
Yeah,
I can't remember what they're called.
I think Vice City is overrated, personally.
Yeah, I thought that was quite funny because it was more kind of tongue in cheek, and I kind of enjoyed that a little bit more. But when they had all these really rubbish and they're absolute garbage missions that are just not fun at all, obviously I'll be playing it wrong because everyone just enjoyed driving around in cars in that game. But as far as 4 goes and 5, 4's intro is so long and so boring, and it's like a glorified taxi service. Go here, pick me up for bowling, play bowling, now drive me back, and I'm like, oh god. And 5, I no matter what I try, I can never get into that game. It's just not for me. I find like I'm trying to find my own amusement and if you actually do play the game, it's not as enjoyable. It's got some good bits, but I can't buy into the hype on those games. They're just not for me. Open world, just like open world games, clearly.
Likes the old school thing.
See, for me, it's like I remember. For me, it's like I hype myself up on every Destiny thing and pre-order the best edition, mainly for money saving, but also because then it's there. Because like with Destiny, they like released the DLC, and then they also released like one where you can buy the DLC plus like a year's worth of content for like £20 extra. So I always do that because like money wise, it's cheaper. But Fallout 76, I remember being very hyped about that because my mates all played Fallout and I played Fallout. And then I bought it from you. And I played it for about 3 hours and then never touched it again. Because I thought it was what I thought it would be. Because I remember me and my friend were sitting in college watching the gameplay trailer. And it looked really cool. Like, it was multiplayer Fallout. I played Fallout 4. I really liked the way Fallout 4 worked. I played a bit of 3. And then Fallout 76 came out. And I remember, Ash, you bought, like, the big helmet.
Yeah.
And I think you didn't play much of
Was
76.
that for the hype of the
And it was
game,
just
Ash,
like-
or
it
was
was
that for
such
the
a
helmet,
waste.
though?
No, I bought it because I thought I was going to enjoy the game and I wanted the helmet. It had nothing to do with it being hyped because I know how to manage my expectations properly. But yeah, I didn't buy that because it was hyped, because a lot of people went, Fallout 76, and then they went, it's online, and everyone went, ugh, gross. So yeah, I just bought that because I
quite
thought I was
excited for it.
enjoying
I was
it.
just like, oh, this is so cool.
There must
Yeah,
have
for
been
me,
a
it was
time.
just like, I was like, oh, this is cool.
Then there must have been a time at some point,
Sorry,
though, Ash,
go on.
that you've had a higher expectation for something and been disappointed based
Well-
on previous experiences of what that franchise has done.
Well, I mean, I was disappointed in The Last Guardian, not because it was overhyped, but just because I think I
What have
heard
they
it's
done for
really
15
good.
years?
Shadow the Colossus is really good, and then that game was just like obtuse.
What did they do? What were they working
That was
on?
terrible.
But they're working on The Last Guardian. But just to go back to Bill's point about people getting hyped for a game and then not finishing it, and how that kind of says that they're more interested in the hype. I don't think that's true. Like, you don't have to buy a game and finish a game before you get hyped for the next game, especially if it's a long game like Persona or something like that. I don't think not finishing a game means you enjoy the hype of it more. But hype is specifically crafted. Again, it's because all of these things are businesses with marketing departments. So a lot of hype is manufactured because there are people that will buy a game based purely on its name and the franchise that it's a part of. But you also need to get the people excited for it that, you know, maybe wouldn't pick that game up. Monster Hunter World was so unbelievably hyped up back when I was working at CEX. There were people who had never touched a Monster Hunter game that were literally saying, oh my god, this game's going to be amazing, it's going to be the best game ever, I've been waiting so long for Monster Hunter to come to PlayStation. They played it and they went, no, I don't like it, it's too hard, I only bought it because everyone was talking about it. And it was manufactured that way because they were obviously trying to catch casuals. But yeah, that's just what I think. Yes, Jack?
I don't think it's necessarily them finishing the game. I mean, there's other parts as well. It's like where some people don't even open the wrapper to the game, or it doesn't have to be a game.
Of money.
Yeah, well, this is what I mean. It's more like they line them up and they have them on their shelf to play, and they buy it and say, I will eventually play this, or it might be a book, or it might be. It might be a comic, or it might be an album or something. It's just they're looking to what to spend their money on next, rather than enjoying what they've currently got. It's not. I understand what you mean. I mean, completing Persona 100% is a mammoth challenge, and you're allowed to be hyped up for the next thing that comes out before you get to the end of a 100-hour RPG. I totally agree with that. It's just whether I feel some people are looking to spend that cash and get into that hype train and say, I'm a part of this experience more than actually experiencing what they've bought themselves, if I've worded that correctly. Sorry, Jack, I think I cut you off, didn't I?
No. No, I was just going to say...
I'll carry on then.
Jack with his ridiculous Discord delay.
No. Yeah, sorry, I mean, that's been funny. But, like, I was going to follow on from Ash's point. Like, all my friends on Xbox were, like, big Monster Hunter fans. They've played all the games. And then I get Monster Hunter World because they're, like, hyping it up. And I'm just like, I'm not enjoying this game at all. Like, I played it for, like, I finished the Monster Hunter World, like, base story for, I think it was Negagante. And then just, like, and then the big volcano one. I've forgotten his name. And then I just wasn't.
Well, it's not for everybody. I want to like Monster Hunter.
Yeah, no.
I don't like World.
Yeah, I tried. I think I played World for a good 5 or 6 hours with my friend Granville, and we just both walked away and went. We were so bored because the game just doesn't teach you the best parts of the game in their opening hours. Even they give you all this extra armor because you've missed, I don't know, 5 or 6 years worth of content. They try and get you into the game straight away, and it just doesn't work like that. Monster Hunter Rise, I thought, looked really good. They've addressed a few things I had problems with Monster Hunter World, but it's just not my kind of game. And like Ash says, I think if you play enough games and you research enough, you kind of know what you'll like and what you don't like. So you can sort of manage that expectations quite well, especially if you've played enough games. You generally get an idea of what you will like or not. But yeah, it's just, I find it fascinating that some people can't enjoy what they currently have before they move on to the next big thing.
Yeah. Can we please have an F in the chat for Cheney, who has just admitted publicly that they got hyped for Resident Evil 6.
I did.
Really? You got caught by that as well? There was nothing in the hype for that game that made it look good in any way.
No, I disagree. The demo worked really well because they gave you Leon's demo. Everybody played the demo of Resident Evil 6, and that's when the hype took off because they went, "Oh my god, it's like." It's like Resident Evil 4, and then what they didn't realise is that there was 2-3 other chapters in Resident Evil 6 that expanded that out and it tried to do too many things. I actually thought Resident Evil 6 is not as bad as what everyone said. I thought it was actually an alright experience. It just wasn't a decent Resident Evil experience.
I'm going to expand on that because that comes into hype. Do you often find that people will over-exaggerate how bad a game is, and then you play the game expecting it to be like pure garbage, and you're like, it's actually not that bad. Y'all just, once again, didn't manage your expectations. Happens a lot with films. This Monster Hunter movie that's coming out, I think it's going to be a great action film. It'll be a tragic Monster Hunter film, but I find that with like bad games, they're not that bad. It's just someone was burnt and made out that it was made a mountain out of a molehill, basically. Yeah,
but, and I also get the same thing the other way around, Ash. Like, for example, Okami is a good game. It's not amazing and it's clunky. There's some problems with it, but there's people sort of passing it off as like the one of the greatest of all time type of games because they were pleasantly surprised, expecting very little from it.
Yes.
Then they played it and they enjoyed it. Yes. And now they're saying everybody else has to play this game. And when I played it, I was like, yeah, it's good. There's better, I don't know, God of War, Zelda games, things out there. But it's an all right experience. I wish there was more games where you played as an animal rather than, but yeah, absolutely.
I'm going to be quite controversial here as well and just bring up a point that Emily has made in the chat. I think Balan Wonderworld is one of those games that got a lot of negative hype because it was overhyped, but it was overhyped through people not managing their expectations. Like, people who were excited for Balan Wonderworld were excited because it was Yuji Naka making a platformer. Like, Knights wasn't that good, guys. Also, he said he wanted to make an easy one.
Hang on.
No, he said that he wanted to make an easy one-button platformer that everyone could enjoy. Made the game exactly that, and then everyone was really disappointed because it's not what they wanted. And I'm like, guys, what game did you want? He told you what he was making. What game did you possibly think Balan Wonderworld was going to be? And also, I stand by it, Knights wasn't that good, and Yuji Naka was, the last thing that he touched with Sonic was Sonic 06, so I don't know why everyone loves the man so much, like...
I agree, I don't know why everyone thinks he's a genius. In the same way I think Kojima, everyone thinks Kojima's a genius, and he really isn't. He's a terrible game designer. But
great writer, but he needs someone to design his games for him.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas I think Yuji Naka is a good designer, but someone needs to do his game mechanics. I think Knights is a kind of game where if you chase high scores, you're going to get the game you want. If you want a good story game or a good platformer, you're not going to get the game you want. It's for people like myself who likes to revisit a game and see if they can get better and better at it, like your Donkey Kong Countries, your Marios, your Sonics, and things that you keep playing over and over again. As for Balan Wonderworld, I think being on that hype train and being the only person I know who actually, besides maybe Kizra in the chat, sorry if I've missed anybody else, who was looking forward to it, I didn't want Knights. I wanted something different. I wanted a decent 3D platformer, but what I got instead was Knights with all the personality ripped out of it. And I would have been fine if it was like Billy Hatcher, which is an okay platforming game. The fact it was clunky, unrefined, and it was all style and no substance, that, like you said, Ash, was supposed to be a fun game for everybody. Instead, it turned out to be a platformer for nobody. I don't see how a child would enjoy it, which is potentially what the audience there are afterwards. I don't know how a nostalgia fan would enjoy it or an adult would enjoy it, because there's nothing there but half-baked ideas and loads of costumes unnecessarily. But yeah, maybe that's a conversation for another time.
I had no interest in Balan at all.
You know what? If someone buys me it, I will play Balan Wonderworld on stream and give my honest opinion on it, because I don't think it's going to be that bad.
Can you still?
And I didn't like Knights.
Can you still get the demo?
They pulled the demo.
No, they took that off ages ago.
Yeah, that was a mistake. That was a big mistake.
Maybe someone could maybe loan it to us, and Ash can give it a go.
9, 8, 7.